Good morning. It's May 18, 2021, and it's a Tuesday. Here in LA, cloudy morning, slight breeze blowing this morning, 59 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 Celsius. This morning, I was thinking about the year 1962 and Little Eva singing Locomotion. This afternoon, it'll be going up to 73 degrees Fahrenheit, around 23 Celsius, and it looks like these clouds are going to burn away by late morning, and after that we should be enjoying those beautiful blue skies and golden sunshine all along the way. Everyone, have a great day.
Don't touch that dial.
Good evening, I'm Beth Ringel. A 6-year legal battle for Chihuahua.
Frank Sinkowicz, who died early today at his home in Athens, was 70 degrees.
I don't care whether they're men or women. I hate people.
And won't know for sure if they'll pick St. Louis as the site of their convention until June.
3, 2, 1.
Make no mistake, Valley residents.
We are KY3 Production, and we'd like the opportunity to visit next production.
So that person may have opened another whole new can of worms for this whole investigation.
Well, in early April, a Canadian Protestant pastor, Arthur Pawlowski, made headlines when he chased law enforcement out of his church over unlawful China virus lockdowns. He and his brother were arrested, and now they're talking about what happened.
They're doing this to me. They're going to come after you. It's just a matter of time.
Police and prison guards physically abused and mocked this pastor's Christian faith after arresting him earlier this month for holding church services that violated pandemic-related restrictions. This, according to Pastor Artur Pawlowski, in an interview on Thursday with Rebel News. Pawlowski recounted how he and his brother were mistreated from the moment of arrest.
One officer said to another one, if he kicks you, I'm going to charge him with assault. Can you imagine? They're trying to fit the guy in this little space, face down, they're like head down, upside down, and then they're threatening me with assault while they're assaulting me.
The brothers were taken to Spy Hill Jail and thrown into a concrete cell with nothing but a light. The personnel on shift denied the pastor's request for a Bible, and with nowhere to sit or lay down for an extended period, he and his brother were also deprived of sleep.
I say most of them have a vendetta. It has become personal. It looks like me challenging their authority. That's unacceptable. Me having, a big mouth, and when I open my mouth, they don't like it. So it was clearly, you could see it was a vendetta. They recognized us right away. They knew who we were, and they were mocking us. One jailer would just put his hands like, praise the Lord, and laughing at us and pointing at us, like totally mocking our faith, mocking us.
When the shifts changed, the new officer was upset with the awful treatment and rectified it to the best of his ability.
Oh, inside your mind. Oh, we gon' get you through this. Just for one more high. So baby, let's solve it tonight. We gon' make you move from side to side. We gon' make you lose. Oh, inside your mind. Oh, we gon' get you through this. Just for one more. So baby, let's solve it tonight.
You're not singing the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S.
Let me get funky.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. So they're burning Bill Gates for some reason. We don't know why, and we don't know what that will mean for Bill Gates and the rest of the world. But he is definitely being exposed as a creep. And before, that was not possible. Like, Bill Gates has always been a horrible human being, just in terms of the way he ran Microsoft and Microsoft's influence on the culture and, its influence on the internet and computers and all these things. And Microsoft always soft under Bill Gates. And then there was his foundation, which was completely BS, promoting horrible things. And so eugenics and things like this. And the guy has just been creepy, a heartless guy, right? So he was a guy who Microsoft got sued for antitrust and violating all these ethical laws. And the way that they handled the browser wars, their crappy Windows Explorer browser that led to all the Mozilla stuff, the Firefox stuff, and things like that. Just the way he handled all of that stuff showed you he was a bad person. An evil person, right? The way that Microsoft was run and the way it treated other software companies and the way it sort of got a monopoly on computers and things like this. Showed you, and the way they stole information, they stole technology, and they just, they did bad things. And so then he became the richest man in the world, even though he had done it under nefarious ways. I mean, the richest man in the world based in, there's richer people, there's richer families, but Bill Gates was, the one that they said, this is the person they're saying is the richest person in the world. And then he sort of retires from Microsoft and rebrands himself as a philanthropist. Somebody who he started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and it was billed as he just wants to heal and help the world. But everything that he pushed from his foundation was not that, right? And, he didn't have a good heart. He's not a good person. You could tell he's not a good person, that he doesn't have some loving heart, and he wants to use his money to better the world. Like you could see just by looking at him. Like, when you become a spiritual person and you get more sensitive and you're, less thinking about yourself, it's easy for you to read other people. It's just easy for you to look at people and see what kind of person they are. That's one of the blessings of the Heartfulness Meditation. I was a trained counselor. I have a master's degree in counseling, and I had to do assessment. And I did psychological assessments for a while. I was trained in how to do psychological assessments. And I was good at them because I had a natural predisposition for this thing. It's something I present in my videos. And then when you do the Heartfulness meditation, you become more sensitive and you become aware of other people's energy, and you can feel them like their essence or whatever it is. And the longer you do it, the more that increases. And it was something that I was, I had a natural sort of talent for, and being introverted and self-reflective. And you can look at Bill Gates and just see he's not somebody that would do good things for other people. He's not a generous person or a person with a good heart. Bill Gates reportedly asked out several women in his office while married. And so these are the things that are now coming out about him. Jeffrey Epstein gave advice to Bill Gates about ending his marriage to Melinda. This is from the Sunday Times. Strippers, affairs, private jets, bitter business feuds, driving offenses, naked pool parties. A fuller picture of Bill Gates' life is emerging. And he may not be the squeaky clean nerd we thought. We would never thought that. A squeaky clean nerd would have the secret life of Bill Gates. And so there's articles coming out. He was never that guy. That was just a brand. He wasn't a nice person. Like, nobody would think this guy's a nice person if they had any ability to perceive other people. Bill Gates had a reputation for questionable behavior before divorce. Microsoft board investigated Bill Gates over alleged affair with employee. The rise and fall of Bill Gates. Bad press continues to dog Bill Gates amid reports he was pushed off of Microsoft. Bill Gates pursued several women in his office during marriage. To Melinda report, Bill Gates' nerdy do-gooder image destroyed by divorce revelations. Bill Gates acknowledged an affair with an employee which Microsoft investigated. You know, all these things. Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And there's things to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Melinda Gates warned Bill Gates about Jeffrey Epstein, and that was a part of the divorce. I mean, there's all these things that are coming out, right? And why? Why are they coming out? That's the big question. Because this was always Bill Gates. Just like there's all this press about Israel's treatment of Palestine. I made a video about this yesterday on the Apocalypse Now channel. Why? Why all of a sudden... So there's two parts to this. That, time and time again, things that people said in the truth community, like I've been covering that Ellen's not a nice person, like her brand said she was for years. And, now that comes around. And stuff with Bill Gates, who has been somebody that the truth community has talked about in terms of his stuff with eugenics and all the things, right? Which is depopulation, his involvement with the UN, all the things that he's done. We've been right time and time again. I've been right personally. The truth community's been right over things that I consider obvious. And we've been, censored and demonized and called crazy conspiracy theorists. But we're always ahead of the game. Like it's time and time again, this stuff comes out. Of course, they're not going to go as far as they should, the mainstream media. Because what they should say is, he's billed himself as Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That they're a team and a partnership. And that's the way he treated his wife. Like, that's the way he treated, that's the, official story or whatever it is. I know people think it's, a man and all these things, whatever. But in terms of the official story, the guy treated his wife horribly based in, what's coming out. That he wasn't a moral person. He wasn't somebody that's out for other people, Like, he was never that guy at Microsoft. What do you think? He had a change of heart one day? He decides to use all of his billions to make the world a better place and help other people with his foundation? No, of course he wasn't. He was never a good person. So if his foundation wasn't about doing good things for other people, then what was it about, right? What's the purpose of his foundation if he isn't a good person and he doesn't want to help the world? He doesn't want to share his billions with other people. He doesn't want to, make the world a better place. Then what's the true purpose of his foundation? And there's been lawsuits with his foundation in India and other places for some of the things that they pushed out there. Again, eugenics. He got the UN Depopulation Award. The UN has a population award, which is about people who reduce the population. Because there is a population problem and no one wants to acknowledge it. And the way that they're dealing with it, nobody would think is a good thing. Like the way that they've structured this, the way that they're pushing this out there is bad for everybody. It's not a way that anybody would think is moral or fair or any of these things. So the second piece to this is why now? Why are they burning it now? Is something going to happen they need a fall guy for? Is there something bad that's going to happen? They want to pin it on him or, is he going to take the fall for something?
fits harmonically best with the melody line. And for polyphonic singing, there are different possibilities to build scales and to move notes. So I can move the overtone with the fundamental in parallel. Or I can move the fundamental in steps. Or in smaller steps. Or even smaller.
Like, why now? Why are they burning Bill Gates now? Because, you know, they don't have to. Like, you understand this? The way the media works now, look at what they're doing with Joe Biden. Like, they completely slammed Joe Biden. There's that 2015 hit piece by CNN's Brianna Keilar. CNN pushed this out there, and they have all of it in there. I showed you this over and over again. The video's up on YouTube of them slamming Joe Biden, calling him a screw-up, calling him a groper and a snoozler, and somebody that shouldn't run for president because they want Hillary. And they're doing it political hit pieces. And then they rebrand him and pretend they never knew that he was like this and that he's some kind of great guy. They're ignoring his obvious problems with dementia and things like this. And they just don't cover it. They refuse to say anything until they want to burn him and put in Kamala or something, right? Until they want to, you know. And then all of a sudden they'll come out and say, oh, look what a horrible person he is. I mean, it's just so bad. The media is just so bad, right? You know, because they are just liars and deceivers. They never are accountable for obviously missing big, you know, I mean, doing any investigative reporting. Like this affair with Bill Gates is something nobody knew about and nobody cared about until now, right? Like it was never a newsworthy story. A guy that they were claiming is the richest man in the world got fired from Microsoft for inappropriate behavior with an employee. And that's not newsworthy until, you know, 15 years later, when all of a sudden all this negative information is coming out about him. His relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was never news because that's a questionable, I mean, somebody who's involved with children all across the globe with his foundation, Bill Gates, and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein isn't newsworthy, right, until now. So that's how the media does it. They just pretend like they've done a great job all along and that they were never responsible for investigative reporting. They're told, okay, Bill Gates is fair game. Israel is fair game. They're told that, and then formerly protected groups or formerly protected people are then targeted. And then all of a sudden the narrative is shifted. But it's their job to know all these things and actually break news and report things, and they just, you know, I mean, it's so bad in the news media. It's so opposite of what it's supposed to be. And it also goes to show you that they can burn you at any time. They can turn on you at a moment's notice. And all these celebrities and politicians know it, that they are at the mercy of the people that pull the strings of the media and the culture and all these things. At any moment, they can just turn on you and destroy you and just destroy your brand. And, you know, and it's just accepted by the sheeple that, you know, have no ability to critically think and ask these questions I'm asking in the video, you know, this video right now. Hey, why now? Like, they didn't know this guy was a creep before? And there's information out there that Warren Buffett is Bill Gates' friend and he's been protecting him, all these things like this. There's all this speculation. The other part to this is, you know, they hide money in foundations. I've talked about how the royal family was doing this, and even, you know, Meghan Markle's and her hubby, they have their own foundation aside from this. And I watched that movie. It was about J. Paul Getty, and he was the richest man in the world. And his grandson got kidnapped, and the mother was begging him for help, financial help, so that they could pay the kidnappers. And he had no money, even though he was the richest man in the world. His money was all hidden because they don't want to pay taxes, right? These foundations are a way for them to avoid billions of dollars in paying taxes. And so that's something, right? You know, that's something that's out there. And so his foundation was in part to do with that. You know, no one wants to pay $14 billion in taxes. So $1 trillion in taxes, and so that's what people would owe, right? But they make so much money, and then they owe, I mean, now it's like 40% of their income and state taxes, all these things. And so they set up these foundations, and they don't have access to the cash that people think they do. They don't have the ability to spend money like people think they do, because their money is, you know, tied up in these tax havens. But a bigger part of this is, you can see this with the whole confusion over the mask thing. You had this, Saturday Night Live did a cold open. I was going to cover it, but it was just, you know, I knew it'd be an issue. It is about the new mask policies that Fauci's released. And what this shows you, what has happened now, is that at least, you know, 50%, and maybe everybody to some extent, doesn't trust the government and the media in a way that is, you know, if something really was about to happen, like there was a real, and there was going to be these things, because this is part of the heartfulness meditation. I mean, there's a big thing going to happen in 2025 or 26, and we'll talk about that more in future videos. But there's something going to happen that's a real game changer, much bigger than any of the things, like these other events, bombshell events that have happened in the past, I don't know, 20 years or so. These big changing things are preliminary. They're just, you know, teasers or appetizers to things that are going to come in the future. And so there's going to be big things that are going to happen. And when the government asks for help or wants people to do some things, and it might be for our own good, who knows what it's going to be, right? The media, most of us, the majority of people, don't trust the government anymore. That's why these things are failing right now. There's a total lack of trust because of, you know, obscurantism, which I've talked about in the past in terms of the Heartfulness Meditation Whispers messages, that the age of obscurantism is over. The truth has to come out. People who are running the system, and I more than anybody else in the truth community, I empathize with the people that run the system, because I also see how bad human beings suck, and the inability for people to accept bad news and the truth, and how easy it is for people to get manipulated by lies. And so if I was running the system, I know I would be stressed out, right? I mean, the people who are running the system don't care. They just care about themselves, so, you know, that's part of it. But I would never take one of these jobs. Like, I just, you know, I mean, people suck so bad as a whole, so there's, you know, reasons for them lying to us, right? There's reasons for withholding the truth. I mean, part of it was for their financial gain and to control the system. They didn't do it for the betterment of humanity. And they told a lot of lies, and, you know, just about the origin of our species and the true purpose here and all the things to do with human behavior, extraterrestrials and all these other things. Big, you know, big controlling organizations, religions that lie to the people. And now people are, you know, they have these fundamental building blocks to their understanding of the world, their understanding of their life on planet Earth, their understanding of God, their understanding of the true nature of human life and things like this. Our, you know, the origin of our species. They've been told all these lies, all this Darwinian crap and all the rest of it. And so, you know, in religion and science, both have been manipulated and, you know, distorted. And so now, you know, people having grown up without true knowledge and who have been manipulated into this debt-based, hedonistic way of life, pleasure-based system that's collapsing, and people have become weaker and weaker. I mean, it's just a freaking disaster. Like, think about how bad things are, how weak people are at a time where there's going to be big changes. And the government and the media have lost trust. The official story, the people who are in charge have lost trust. Like, you know, it's worse than a cheating husband. It's a husband that's trying to murder his, wife and family or whatever it is, right? It's worse than like just a bad guy or, a bad person. It is, it's just years and years of being deceptive and lying to us all and just have lost control.
You better